Okay, so for my artwork presentation, I will be discussing and analyzing the work titled Carnaval by Cuban vanguard painter Victor Manuel. Come on. So following the formation of the Republic of Cuba in 1902, a series of socio-political and transcultural changes generated a movement by a group of artists known as the vanguard painters. The first vanguard generation involved individuals that had grown up in early 20th century Cuba and came of age as the nation was establishing a new cultural identity. At the time, artists commonly would receive formal education at the San Alejandro Academy in Havana that earned a reputation for its rigid conservatism and aversion for 20th century modern art. Aiming to represent political and social concerns, the vanguards broke from academic training and applied formal experimentation to explore new national themes through modern European aesthetics. Uniting native and modern elements allowed the artists to express their Cuban ethos without abandoning their place on the modern stage. New themes included the representation of Cuban peasantry, countryside landscapes, and the depiction of war. Among these patrons of Cuban modernism was Victor Manuel. Victor Manuel Garcia Valdez was born in Havana on October 31st, 1897, and passed away on February 2nd, 1969. Victor Manuel is credited with being the first artist to introduce modernism in Cuba. Like many others after him, Victor, following his graduation from the San Alejandro Academy, continued his studies in Paris, the cosmopolitan hub for modernism. There he drew from experimental styles of Fauvism, Expressionism, and Surrealism, observed from his influencers Paul Gauguin, Paul Cézanne, and Henri Matisse. While in Paris and after his return to Cuba in 1927, Victor Manuel painted scenes of Cuban life and developed a style associated with primitivism. Manuel has received criticism unfortunately, as he expresses his Cubanidad from a removed standpoint. His portraits and landscapes consist of Cuban peasantry, guerrilleros, and landscapes of bohíos. But the scenes are often felt to be peaceful, unattached, and even idealized. His mestizo subjects wear clean garments, evoking little emotion, lacking any trace of issue or concern for their circumstance. The pleasant vision of the guerrilleros and their ambiance is derived from Western ideals or myths originally seen in images produced by travel reporter artists in the late 19th century. While Victor Manuel chooses local subject matter, he portrays them through a primitivist lens rooted in European colonialism. He conforms his subjects to Western assumptions about non-Westerners, characterized by their perceived closeness to nature, timelessness, and natural way of life. So Victor Manuel's Carnaval is an oil on canvas depicting a scene of a carnival night procession flowing through the city streets. There is an abundant air of motion and activity. Women and men dance merrily wearing typical peasant garments, sombreros, and enthusiastic smiles showing off their white, unstained teeth. There is an air of rhythm and timelessness while people appear blissful. The participants of this procession are dark-skinned, alluding to their African descent. Carnaval is a prime example of Victor Manuel's use of primitivism. Similar to other parts of the Caribbean, Carnaval was a colonial celebration performed by the African slave populations as a means to draw social and racial boundaries. That was reclaimed as an agent of cultural autonomy and social emancipation by the slaves from the European colonizers. In Cuba, Carnival descended from Afro-Cuban celebrations of Spanish Catholic religious feasts. We can see the remnants of Spanish religious iconography with the cabrioles, the white pointed hoods worn by the participants, and the yellow glowing lamps that are cast upward. Both are symbols that represent the closeness and presence of Christ that are used in traditional Spanish ceremonies during Holy Week. Apart from the ghostly figure that hangs over the crowd on the right hand side of the canvas, that may be a Santeurian god, there is no reference to Afro Cuban religious iconography or practice. Instead, what Carnaval presents is a voyeuristic viewing of a group through a colonial lens. It is an objectified and exoticized scene made to be observed by foreign eyes, supporting the notion that Cubanidad is understood and measured through Western inference. Okay, thank you. That took me forever.